Hello out there to everybody on the internet and wherever you are right now. This is your cookie goddess coming to you from a beautiful Central California day. And today we are going to be making sourdough bread, banana bread, apple pie, pumpkin pie, chicken stew, green bean casserole, and chicken taquitos. Now what I want to start off with first is a sourdough starter. And the reason for this is what takes the longest in any baking process. And it takes about anywhere from 5 to 10 days. So what you want to do first is add a half cup of water to a jar that holds about 6 pints of water or any kind of juice. You want to use a really tall kind because what's going to happen is this starter is going to expand and it's going to come all the way up and bubble up. And you want enough room for that to be able to expand and not overflow onto your counter. And next is a packet of dry yeast. This equals to 2 teaspoons and a quarter of dry yeast. And we're going to pour this right in here. And as you can see, I've got what's called an open funnel. And this just helps a lot of your dry and wet ingredients go in a lot easier. So we're going to take that off. And we're going to be stirring with a wood spoon. Now the reason for this is if you use a metal spoon, there's going to be a chemical reaction and it can ruin the yeast right away and you have to throw your starter out altogether. So let's take a moment just to mix this up and get this dissolved. Okay, there we go. Set that down. Now next we want to do is add the rest of the water. Now total you want to add about, this is going to be, your total measurement for water is going to be about 2.5 cups of water. And you want to measure this very, very, very accurately. And you want this water to be anywhere from 105 degrees to 115 degrees. So take this off and just give this another little bit of a stir, just to get all the yeast really blended and dissolved in there. Okay, there we go. Set that down. We're going to put our funnel back on. Now next is we need to add 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And a tip I like to do for all of anyone who's out there watching is we like to fluff our flour, and what this does is it puts air in our flour to give it the right measurements, because if you don't fluff your flour you end up getting more like 2/3 to 3/4 cup of flour when you only need to get a half a cup. So just fluff it ever so lightly, just enough for the air to get in there and for that grain to really get in there and start working. So like as I said before, we want 2 cups of flour, and this is a half scoop measuring cup. And I like to use the smaller measuring cups just because you get more of an accurate measurement when you're doing large batches. So this is a half a cup. This is 1 cup. This is a 1.5 cups, and my munching cat Romeo is saying hello out there to everybody. This is a 1.5 cups of flour, and this is 2 cups of flour here. So we just want to kind of scoop that down, make sure we get enough in there to get an accurate measurement. Now baking is basically chemistry, and what you want to do is to make sure you have all your measurements accurate, or else it can throw out your whole recipe and you have to throw out the whole thing and start all over again, which is not very fun. So we have 2 cups of flour in. We have 2 cups of flour in here. Let's kind of shake that down to make sure we have it all in. And the last thing we need to add is 1 tablespoon of sugar. And this can be any white sugar you have. You can also use honey. You can also use any kind of honey you'd like, but I just prefer sugar because it holds the starter a lot better. So just take the 1 tablespoon of sugar, right here, and just go ahead and pour it in the jar. And again, we're going to take our wood spoon, and we're gonna mix this pretty carefully at first, because we don't want everything to come up and go everywhere, but you just want to do some slow, continuous stirs just to get all this to blend together so it activates really, really, really well. And you can use any kind of wide mouth jar. I don't recommend using any kind of short jars like your pickle jars or your mason jars. You want a tall, wide mouth jar. And as I said before, this jar is about 6 pints. And a gallon jar is 8 pints. And always use a glass jar for your starter. Don't use plastic. The starter will deactivate. Don't use metal because it will kill the yeast. So you want to continuously stir this and let it all blend together in here really, really, really well. And the feel of it's really good. Once you start feeling like the spoon's got some pressure holding against it, then you know that you've got a good starter that's really blended well. So let's take a look inside there, see how it is. Yes, see how it looks? It's nice and thick. It's not clumpy or anything. You just want a nice, smooth, thick starter, as I said before. Okay. And that is how you make a starter. A starter needs to ferment for at least 5 days. This is so the fermentation process is complete and you have a great starter to make your starter dough bread with.